There's definitely something in the air on baseball tonight. You got to stay alert. Heads up or somebody may rob you blind. Can the Astros pass the Cardinals for the division lead? Or the Expos, should they even think about catching the Braves? Not if John Smoltz continues to act like Cy Young. Can Dante and the Rocks take advantage of Colorado's thin air? The Red Sox comedy of errors is now a horror show. Straw is stirring in New York while the White Sox try to stop their slide against the Rangers. You come fly away with us on Baseball Tonight. Next. Welcome, everybody, with Peter Gammons. I'm Karl Ravech. 3 days left in the month of July. 3 days left until the trading deadline. The way you were working the phones today, did you make any deals?
No, I didn't. But I'll tell you, it's a little bit difficult, Karl, because there's so many teams that are still in it that think they have a chance. I mean, for instance, the White Sox went into a slump at exactly the wrong time, so it kept teams like Baltimore in it. So I think that the number of players that are going to get traded between now and Wednesday probably a lot less than it might have been.
All right, more on the teams likely to make deals a little bit later. The Royals are not contenders. They did take the biggest fish out of the free agent pond by re-signing Appier. Yanks got some bad news today. Melito Perez pulled from the start at AAA because of stiffness in his right elbow. They hope he can go Tuesday night. If not, they'll go out and look for another pitcher. Good news, Dwight's dead arm looked like it was bionically rebuilt in his last outing. 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs. At the stadium, it ended up being the D&D show. Took Gooden 22 pitches to get his first 8 outs. Then in the third, Offerman went down and took it out. Second of the year, 2-1 Royals. Appier looked like a $15 million pitcher.
Absolutely great stuff today, and he looks so much more relaxed. There's breaking ball to strike out there. Then he comes back, throws a high heat right by him. Very happy man to be home in KC.
7 Ks and 8 innings for Appier. Bottom 9, there's Strawberry. One difference, no Appier.
And here's the payoff. Swung on and drilled to deep right. It is high, it is far, it is gone! It's a 2-run, game-winning home run for Daryl Strawberry. Yankees win! Yankees win!
What did he say? All right. Jason Hockamy, he was the pitcher, now 0-3. Remember, the innings was led off with a walk to Tino Martinez. 4 out of every 10 leadoff walks end up scoring. All 3 of Strawberry's home runs have come in games started by Dwight Gooden. Daryl Strawberry, the 5th guy to join the 300 home run club this season. This is the first time that 5 have reached the 300 plateau in the same season. Chili Davis needs 12 to reach 300. I don't know how comfy Cleveland is with its staff. They're in Baltimore. Davey Johnson. Bottom 3 owes up 1 zip.
Well, look at this. It's great. He actually hurt his leg running down the line, but you see, there are 2 guys there. Couldn't somebody tell him he didn't have to slide? There was nobody covering home plate.
He hurts his leg. Had nothing to do with the appendicitis on a tag-up. Owes up 2 zip. It's 3-2, and B.J. Surhoff ties it at 3, his 15th of the year, career high. Bottom 12, Alomar facing Jose Mesa. Kenny Lofton takes the game over. First, he takes a home run away that ends the inning. Would have ended the inning. Then it's Mike Devereaux. He singles to center. Polonia for third, and Lofton throws him out. It's the Kenny Lofton show. And then Jim Thome in the top of the 13th. 3-run home run to left. Indians win 6-3. Thome's 21st home run. You rarely talk about Kenny Lofton's arm.
He gets himself into such great position to throw because of his athleticism. Talk about his concentration. He almost got thrown out of that game twice, and yet never let it bother him.
6-5, Indians take care of the O's. This season, it has not been good to be mentioned in the same breath as the Tigers. Well, since April 17th, only the Tigers have been worse than the Orioles. Over those 90 games, the Orioles' ERA of 5.64, second worst. Yes, you had the worst. The Tigers. Speaking of worst, perhaps the worst kept secret in baseball, the Orioles desire to move Bobby Bonilla. The clock is ticking. Are they ready to tinker with this team?
Well, I think they may. The problem is, they're as close to the Red Sox, way down at the bottom, as they are to the White Sox in the wild card. It's still very hard for 28,000 season tickets to say we're going to pack it in, but they're talking about a lot of trades, and there's a lot. The feeling in Baltimore is that Bonilla will be gone tomorrow. The guy everybody wants is David Wells. Seattle, he's #1 on Seattle's list. Cleveland wants him. The Yankees. He's a dominating pitcher. He's starting to get better. He's also a tremendous money guy. Bonilla is another story. I mean, they would like to be able to make some moves for the future. Brian McRae's a guy they'd really like to get, but I mean, I think you're going to see likelihood of Bobby going somewhere, whether it's Cincinnati, San Diego, Chicago, somewhere in the next couple of days.
Teams would like to have that bat. Well, a team many thought at one point would be willing to part with some of its top players, the Expos, but management has applied the Kung Fu grip Facero, forget that. Meantime, the Cards eking out wins as X seems to have regained his form. He saved 6 of 7 this month. He would figure in this one as well. Early on, it was the defense of the Wizard. Man on first, Lansing right up the middle. Look at Ozzie. There's one, there's the double play. 3-3 game, bottom 8th. Ozzie at the plate. Luis Salisay is on second. And Ozzie down, and it goes into center field. Cards up 4-3. It was 6-3 after 8. Here comes Eck. He gave up a leadoff home run to Shane Andrews. The next two guys get on. Tony La Russa has to come out and make a change. The Cardinals do win, but as you watch Dennis Eckersley walk off, Peter, he wasn't happy.
Well, it's tough when you're a Hall of Famer and you get booed, but Cardinals know they have to do something about their bullpen. They tried to get Tom Henke to come back again last week. He said no. Danny Jackson's going to come back and be in the bullpen, but they've still been looking around to make a deal.
Cards wrap up the 11-game homestand with a less than impressive 4-7 mark. 3-run 8 by the Cardinals. Began with a walk to the leadoff hitter. Expos now go home to play 10 of their next 13. The best pitching matchup of the day, Valdez against that guy, Shane Reynolds. Solo home run to Greg Gagne here. Gagne 7th, 2-0 Dodgers. Bottom 6, same score. John Cangelosi pops one up. Mike Piazza. Man meets wall. And this time, man takes care of it. Doesn't hang on to the ball. Cangelosi would end up knocking in the tying run with a single. It's 2-2, 1 out, Mondesi on first.
This is a huge play in the game. James Mouton, who has really played well since they put him in center field, charges the ball. Mondesi said, okay, I'll challenge your arm. Guns him out.
Bottom 9, same score, 2-2, Joey Eischen. Hey, first man he faces, Orlando Miller. It's over. Miller's 11th. Stros win 3-2. Not a bad homestand attendance-wise for the Stros. They averaged 32,674 over 10 games. Tommy Lasorda met again with Dodgers brass to discuss his potential return. Still no decision on that. They will meet again Monday morning. Speaking of returning, Marge Schott returned for the first time to Riverfront since being banned. Apparently baseball getting a little lenient. Schott on the field before the game, talked to the players, their families. The dog was there too. Ray Knight now says his Reds have reached the mountaintop. If that's the case, where does his former team, the Mets, stand? Top 6, 2-1, Todd Hundley. Get out of here. Second deck. Hundley's 29th of the season. It is 3-1 Mets. Bobby Jones trying to snap a personal 3-game skid.
Now, Bobby Jones, all the talk about the young pitchers, Bobby Jones has proven to be the horse that they always said, maybe a 3rd starter, maybe a 4th starter, but ever reliable.
This is reliable. Ball stays in the air into the glove of Jeff Kent. And Jones, complete Game 3 hitter. Mets win 7-1. They snap a 6-game skid. Jones, 3-hitter. Hundley, 6 home runs and 14 ribbies in his past 11 games. The Mets have tied a team record by homering in their 12th straight game. Well, despite the recent success, there are a number of reports out of Cincinnati that almost half the team is tradable. Yes, contending, but not necessarily content.
Jim Thome thinks he can do both at the same time, rebuild and continue to stay in the race. He's got to get a cleanup hitter. Reggie Sanders hitting .211 with runners in scoring position. He's not a cleanup hitter. They're 4-19 when they score fewer than 3 runs, so they have to get some offense. The guy they really want is Greg Vaughn, and that's a possibility, as great as he's been, because he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. They're talking about Mitchell and Bonilla and Orlando Merced. But to do that, they're going to probably have to move a pitcher. John Smiley is the guy that teams like Seattle, the White Sox, the Yankees, the Indians have all talked about the most. Mark Portugal has created a lot of interest. The Yankees, Bob Watson had him, has always liked him. And, you know, Portugal's a tough money guy. Problem is the contract next year. Dave Burba is extremely versatile because he can start and relieve, and he has got great stuff, and he seems to have gotten better. The guy most teams would like, Mr. Brantley, but, I mean, this guy is too good a relief pitcher for the Reds to trade. If they're going to have any chance, they need Brantley, and also he's referred to as Bowden's assistant general manager, so I don't think Brantley's going anywhere.
And we know that Jim isn't going on either. The Reds are going to host the Stros for 3 beginning Monday. That's a huge series. Already 40,000 seats sold for each of those games. When Peter and I come back here on Baseball Tonight, another big series, Rangers, White Sox, Texas doing the little things to stay on top in the West, and Move On doing the big things, but they haven't been doing enough to help Boston's cause.
Introducing the Michelin X1 with a 6-year
Baseball Tonight is brought to you by Michelin X1, because so much is riding on your tires.
Phillies and Pirates, a pair of last-place teams. Jim Fregosi recently critical of his friend and GM Lee Thomas says the only way we can get better is to get better players. Phillies another team who won't hang up when you call looking to make a deal. The White Sox have won only 2 of 10. Newly acquired Pat Borders activated on Sunday. Ron Karkovice says, activate this. Roger Pavlik, he gives up a home run a game. There it goes. 1-0 Sox. Kark's 9th. Top of the 4th, Alex Fernandez against Rusty Greer, leading off the inning. Don't go there. Over Tartable's heading right. Greer, double number 30, second on the team behind Rodriguez. Pudge has 33. The next batter, Juan Gonzalez. To second, Durham. Ball gets down on the ground. Dave Martinez. Dave on the base. No?
Well, start with, I mean, Gonzalez hits a rocket. So it's actually a tough play for Durham, but a little communication problem there. Maybe he thought he was a wide receiver and he was leading him.
Rangers scored 1 to tie it up then. Karkovice again. This time it is fair. Tartable scores. Karkovice got 14 doubles this year. White Sox up 2-1. Then Martinez and Durham got together.
Well, actually, both of these guys are pretty good defensive players. Martinez is a great outfielder. There you see him, the range. Good job covering the bag by Fernandez as well. And Durham, the increase in this guy's range has been remarkable. I mean, he doesn't have great hands, but he's got range close to almost Robbie Alomar.
White Sox win at 5-1. Fernandez allows an unearned run. 5 hits, K'd 4. Perfect 9th for Hernandez. Rangers have lost 7 of their last 11. The White Sox had been sliding. Most people are going to point to the absence of Frank Thomas as the reason for that, but that's too obvious. We go to you for sort of getting underneath the surface.
Well, anybody would miss Frank Thomas, but it's as much what's up in front of the 3, 4, 5 spots in the order right now that's a slump as well as missing Thomas in the middle of the order. Hey, Tony Phillips plays as hard as anybody in the American League. He's gotten a little tired. This is a couple of weeks slump. He hasn't been getting on base as well. Darren Lewis hasn't been getting on base as well as they had. And when you look at the numbers, I mean, those guys, their on-base percentage has dropped about 100% in the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's July. It's a temporary slump. They go back to the West Coast this week. It's a little bit cooler. My guess is they'll start hitting again, and they'll be back on base when Frank gets back.
And Frank did take some batting practice underneath the stadium. No timetable yet, but he is slowly getting better. Well, the same way the White Sox lose a little luster when Thomas is out, the A's, for as great as they've been, it's just not the same with Mark McGwire out of the lineup. With all due respect to Jason Giambi, you just know you're not going to see a 500-foot home run. Back spasms and the fact they're playing on the turf keep McGwire out for the 3rd straight game. At Sky Dome, we got a pitcher's duel. Pat Henkin looking for his 12th win, and Scotty Brocious to left center. Look at Otis Nixon. And gets there. Bottom 6, no score. Ariel Prieto against Carlos Delgado. The first home run Prieto's given up in his last 4 games. 1-0 Blue Jays from Delgado, number 18. Top 9, 2 down, the winning runs at the plate. Henkin trying to get the complete game, gets Giambi to short. And a 3-hitter for Henkin. Blue Jays win 1-0.
I think the Blue Jays will trade that home run streak, though, for pitching like this out of Ariel Prieto's first time back after a stint in the minor leagues. Very important to them if they're going to make any kind of run in the second half.
So as Peter mentioned, the A's home run streak ends at 23, 2 shy of the Major League record. 3rd shutout of the season for Henkin, 5th straight start with a W. Both of these guys have been very impressive. Henkin and Guzman, as you look at the numbers, is Guzman available?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, they got Guzman and Henkin. They have to pay Guzman a whole lot of money at the end of the season. But that gives them 2 very good pitchers. They got Pat Jansen coming along. I still think Toronto is going to be a team to really watch next year as this staff gets back together.
All right, beginning of the year, who do you think gets to 50 wins first, Twins or Red Sox? Wrong answer. Bottom first, 1-0 Twins to Hovyak to right. Kevin Mitchell, nice scoop. Aye! Marty Cordova would score. 2-0 Twins. He hit himself. And then Jeff Rabelais, Reggie Jefferson, Aaron Seeley. Where are you? 4-3 Twins. It got to 8-3. Top 9, bases loaded. Back come the Red Sox. The Arc de Triomphe. Archimedes Pozo. They're loaded. Grand slam.
How could they have let Diogenes Baez go? They could have had Diogenes and Archimedes. It's terrible.
Right next to Harvard Yard. But that would be all. The Red Sox go down 9-8, the final score. The Twins winners. Aaron Seeley, 6 innings, 6 runs. None of them were earned. Tinsley, the only Red Sox starter not to get a hit. And Aguilera, first back-to-back starting wins since 1987. Still ahead. Speaking of back-to-back wins, he's done it all season. Smoltz, he might get 30. He went for his 18th against the Giants. And meantime, in Florida, John Flaherty, a streak of his own. A hit in 27 straight. The 28 comes Sunday. And later, a closer look at those guys. Darrell and Dwight back in New York, making major contributions, including Straw's 300th today. Time to check those hot, those not. We start with those who have been doing well recently. And Sammy Sosa, 8 homers in his last 14 games. Mentioned Jeff Fassero. Forget that trading block. Bagels for the ERA in the last 3. McGuire, little back problem, 8 homers in his last 10. Hasn't played in 3. Did pinch hit in 1. Jamie Moyer for the Red Sox, 3-0. Those not having success. Delino DeShields, since the All-Star break, has fallen apart. Amari Telemaco, 4 homers allowed in his last 12-plus innings. Chris Haney, the Royals. Just never know which Chris Haney is going to show up. 5 homers allowed in his last 11 2/3. Their contributions to the Yanks this season have been full of milestones. No better example than Sunday, Dwight Gooden, 8 innings, 2 runs. Daryl Strawberry, a 2-run homer in the 9th to win it. Number 300. Back together again. Strawberry and Gooden. Every day they stay clean. It's another milestone.
We just knew in our heart that we had a special care about each other because we came through the Mets organization together, and being young players and being able to win a championship and have all those good seasons there, and then also getting into all the trouble we got into, has really made us understand that, you know, our friendship is always going to be there.
Daryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden, 2 first-round picks, both rookies of the year. So much success, so quickly, so young, so many choices.
I didn't trust myself. I don't think Doc trusted himself either. I think we got caught in the midst of what a fast pace was really all about. And, you know, we kept taking those wrong turns. And anytime a person takes wrong turns, he's going to fall.
86, for myself, I started doing a lot of heavy drinking, and I'm pretty sure Daryl was getting into his thing. So we kind of, because of the respect we have for each other, we didn't want to be around each other during those times.
Those times continued. In '88, Gooden won 18 games. Strawberry hit 39 home runs. Yet the two kept their distance from each other and from the truth. In '91, Strawberry signed as a free agent with the Dodgers. In '92, the free fall began. Strawberry hit 10 home runs in 2 years. And for the first time in his career, Gooden lost more games than he won. They were losing touch with reality and with each other.
We stayed in touch a little bit, not as close as we would like, because I think at that time we both was going through something. And for myself personally, I wasn't really being myself, so it was kind of hard for me to have a relationship with anyone, including my wife.
Gooden bottomed out in '94. Instead of walking into clubhouses, he was walking through the doors of rehab clinics. Strawberry's troubles soon followed. Linked together again, they were making headlines.
Dwight Gooden was suspended for 1 year Friday for repeated violations of baseball's drug policy. Daryl Strawberry has again tested positive for some violation of baseball's drug codes. He's been suspended for 60 days, and he's been released by the San Francisco Giants.
I was really disappointed in Dwight because I never thought he would go back into that situation. You know, out of all people, I thought he would be the stronger one.
When Gooden got out of the Betty Ford Clinic in 1994, Daryl Strawberry was there to pick him up. In '95, when Strawberry signed with the Yankees, he once again picked up Dwight Gooden. Not literally, but Gooden was on the suspended list and in recovery. And those who know him best suggest the only way that Dwight Gooden was to really recover was to get back into the game.
The main thing, I remember when Daryl first signed and came into Tampa, and I went out to the field to watch him play, and that gave me a lot of the strength to go on, because I knew if I get things straightened out with myself, that I can make it back.
Really, the only place that he has real peace is on the field. For him to be out there, he loves to compete, loves the game of baseball, and so I know that he was suffering while he was out.
The 2-1. A high pop-up. He's going to do it. And shortstop Jeter on the outfield grass makes the catch. The Yankees win. The Yankees win. And Doc Gooden pitches a no-hitter.
Leaving on the note I did in '94 would have been tough, even if Winston Wilson had the success. So at that time, it was like everything came out from, you know, hitting rock bottom to now, you know, pitching a no-hitter in New York and being carried off the field. All that adrenaline just was coming out at one time.
He gets into this one way back in right center field, and this one is gone.
It seems like every time he pitches, I'm always hitting on runs, so that should speak for itself. But me and Doc is real good friends. We really pull for each other because we've had to battle the same situation.
They understand that, as I told Doc, when you walk out for the first day, you want me to walk out with you, I'll walk out with you. You get booed, I get booed. But you ever cross me, you ever let me down, you'll wish you never heard of me.
Daryl's a great guy, so is Doc. And they're total team conscious. They pull for everybody, pat you on the butt when you're struggling and things like that. So everything's been great, and they're going to do more to help the team that hurt it.
Helping and hurting, promising and disappointing. Strawberry and Gooden have been down this road before in this very city.
To be there for each other at this point now and be here with the New York Yankees and back in New York, where people, you know, care about us. We feel good about that as people, not just as a baseball player.
When you realize what life is in baseball and then life outside of baseball, after you're used to the good things, it's a good reason to stay on the straight and narrow.
I have peace within myself, and I can look in that mirror and have a big smile and really mean it this time. But before, you know, there's that mask there.
We're two separate human beings, and, you know, Doc has his own personal things he has to deal with, and I have my own personal things that I have to deal with. And I think Doc understands. I know I understand, and, you know, that's the most important thing, to be able to be simple and live one day at a time, and try not to put things ahead of me, and just deal with things where they are today, has really, truly made a difference, I think, for me and Doc.
Well, Strawberry's home run today, first in 48 at-bats. There was some concern that maybe he lost that stroke.
Well, listen, he's in tremendous condition. He's still got tremendous bat speed and power. But remember, it took Gooden 4 or 5 starts. I think it's going to take Daryl about a month to get back in the groove, but I still think he's very important. This is a team that's going to need home run power down the stretch.
And remember, now he has 300 in his career. Our Sunday night game of the week, not exactly a key battle, but it is the Keystone State. John Miller, Buck Martinez are in Pittsburgh for this one.
Thanks, Karl. We've got a beautiful night for a ball game here at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. An all-Pennsylvania battle between two ball clubs who are down, though, particularly the Phillies. But the Pirates, a ball club playing well this week. They had a 5-game winning streak, and their manager, Jim Leland, feels that the future is starting to look much brighter.
We've turned the corner a little bit. We still got a lot of work to do. You know, and hopefully, you know, we're basically hoping to have a pretty good year where we could, you know, rekindle a little fire, build some interest, and maybe, you know, be in a position where we can go out and chase somebody come next winter time. So, you know, things are falling into place a little bit, but we're a long way from home yet.
My partner Joe Morgan's on vacation this week. With me is Buck Martinez. Welcome to the telecast, Buck. Now, why does Jim Leland feel that the future of the Pirates looks so bright?
Well, it's because of two young players. Jermaine Allensworth, the center fielder, and Jason Kendall, the all-star catcher. Allensworth was called up last week and came up with a key hit against Mel Rojas of the Expos in a 4-4 ball game. He drives home the winning run, his first game-winning RBI in the big leagues. Then on Friday night, Jason Kendall takes over against Ricky Batalico. Hits a curveball down the left field line to drive into. He won the ball game. So you've got two young players in key positions, and that's why the manager is so optimistic about the future.
All right, they'll both be in there tonight. We'll get a look at Kendall and the rest of the Pirates coming up. It's Jim Leland, the manager of the Pirates, Jim Fregosi of the Phillies. And now let's go back to you, Karl.
Hi, John. Thanks very much. We'll see you guys at the top of the hour. And don't forget, Sports Center follows. They'll have a complete recap of what's going on in Atlanta. Speaking of Atlanta, another group of athletes affected by the bombing in Atlanta's Olympic Park, the Braves, of course, away from home for 18 days, but loved ones still there. No family members of players were injured, but as Marquis Grissom put it when asked if his family had been to Olympic Park yet, he said if they haven't yet, they won't be going. The Braves at 3Com, formerly Candlestick, and the last place a baseball venue saw similar terror to that of Atlanta, the '89 earthquake. Of course, that was natural causes. John Smoltz on the mound. He was going for win number 18. Walks will hurt you. Sean Estes to lead off the inning. That's the opposing pitcher. That's a walk. 3 batters later, Matt Williams smokes over Grissom's head in center. Estes scores. It's tied at 1. Bottom of the 5th, the Giants begin to pull away. It's 3-1. And Bonds, he loves to hit against great pitchers, doesn't he?
Well, that's amazing. He hit the home run earlier in this series off Maddox. Matter of fact, Maddox's first start against the Giants in Candlestick. He did it a couple years ago. Barry will hit anyone.
The Smokes will not get number 18 as the Giants pound the Braves. And in this one, Smokes went 6, gave up 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, and 7 Ks. 3 walks for John Smoltz, uncharacteristic. The Cubs-Rockies, after this one, Colorado plays 17 of 20 on the road. Sosa, left center, 35th of the year. That leads the league, and the Cubs are down 2-1. Bottom of the 4th, 4-2 Cubs, and Chicago with some problems in the field.
Typical of Jim Bullinger's here. Nothing goes right. There's a ball just off Jose Hernandez's glove. Then Quentin McCracken hits a ground ball just off Mark Grace, probably their best defender. And then ball hit hard. Ray Sanchez takes a hop off his glove. That's called bad luck.
5-4. Tyler Houston says, focus, people. They do in the 5th. Brian McRae. John Vanderwall, it's dropping, and McRae takes it off the turf. Then the tying run on 2nd of the 8th. Sanchez, pretty. Spin. Castilla out. Cubbies win by a final score of 7-5 over the Rocks. Bollinger does get the win despite some of that bad fielding. He went 6, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, and 2 Ks. Sosa, huge, 4 for 5. Showed you his 35th home run. The Pods, they scored 21 Saturday. Don Flaherty had a couple of hits. He's hitting 27 straight. Steve Finley early on. Al Leiter, Hayes. Padres hitters frustrated throughout the game. Bottom 6, 2 on. Nobody out. Marlins up 5-2. Conine, 3-run shot, number 18 on the year. It's now a wide open game. 8-2. John Flaherty hitless. John Flaherty hitless. John Flaherty needs a hit here to extend the hitting streak to 28. He would not. Streak over. Florida wins by a final score of 8-2. Sheffield's homer in this one, 28. That's a new Marlins record. He also had a double. John Flaherty didn't get a hit, so the hit streak ends at 27. Second longest hit streak by a catcher. And Peter, the guy with an average of 249, still John Flaherty, very impressive.
But he's gotten better every year. I thought he should have been on the All-Star team a year ago. 3 years ago up Pawtucket, he finally really started to learn to hit. He hit .330 with 9 home runs in the second half of the year. He's moved on and made of himself a very valuable player and extremely, extremely aggressive catcher.
You get the sense he will continue to hit. Well, it doesn't appear as if the Giants are going to get back in this race. I mentioned the Rockies. They got 17-20 on the road. Translation, that's a death sentence. How are the Dodgers and Padres then going to deal with the pennant race, you think?
Well, the Dodgers would just like to ignore this trading deadline, just have it go away and stick with what they have, which is a little bit of a problem. The Padres are going to do something. They've got too good a chance to get into the playoffs. This is their one chance to try to build a ballpark. They're going to go out and spend the money, whether it's Merced or Vaughn or Bonilla, whoever it's going to be. They're going to go get themselves a hitter. They'd like to make a deal to get Merced and Bell from Pittsburgh. But if that happens, you might see the Dodgers do something. The on-base percentage of their leadoff hitters is just pathetic. They've looked into a Brian McRae trade, although they don't think the Cubs will really trade McRae. But they may have to do something along the line. One thing about it, hitters, fielders will be a lot easier to get through waivers in August. What you won't be able to get through waivers in August are the starting pitchers.
One guy the Dodgers may get back as early as tomorrow. Of course, Tommy Lasorda. The decision on whether he'll manage comes on Monday. One player says we need him back because we love him. Love hasn't won a lot of baseball games. Still ahead on baseball tonight. The right leg had healed. Mark Langston hopes his left arm can return to form against the Brew Crew. And Cecil. There's a guy whose form rarely changes. But neither do the results. Deep, and I don't think it's playable there. USA, Cuba. It was a blowout early. The United States made a run, but they fall 10-8. U.S. now 5-1 with 10 points. The next game's Tuesday against the Netherlands. Cuba, they're in first. 6-0 record, 12 points. They clinch the top seed when it comes to the medal round play. Back on the Major League diamonds, Brewers, Angels. Angels shut them out 7-zip Saturday down slot. Look at Pat Listach going back in a 3-2 game. And his catch ends the inning. Bottom 9, still 3-2. Jim Edmonds pinch hitting for George Arias. And Edmonds got it all. 3-3, his first pinch hit home run this year. It's gone into extra innings. Good news for California to see Edmonds do that. Bad news for the Brewers as they blow another one.
It's great news for the Angels in their 4 superb outfielder rotation, but that's about the 4th or 5th game that the Brewers bullpen has brought on the West Coast. But good for Mike Fetters and the Brewers. He signed that 2-year extension. Won't become a free agent. Will stay in Milwaukee.
Salmon, Seitzer, and Jaha also homer in this one. At the Kingdome, the sleeping Tigers woke up, or at least they rolled over. Top 2, I should say, Bosio off the 60-day DL. Melvin Nieves. Rich Amaral, they need some help. No. Nieves ends up on third with a triple. 3 batters later, 2 on. Cedeno lays down the bunt. Paul Sorrento, Joey Cora off the bag. Still in the second, 5-0 Tigers. Cecil, Bosio, 8-0 Tigers. 7 runs, second inning for Detroit. Top of the 7th, last minor to Cecil.
Well, that's now 7 straight years that Cecil's hit 25 or more home runs. The one sad thing is he'd love to see him in a pennant race before it gets a little bit longer.
Homer Oliveras, he's in for the complete game. Aaron Bragg to center. And he gets tripped up. Jeff Manto scores. Didn't come easy for the Tigers, though they do win 14-6 behind the power of Big Cecil. 3 for 5, as Peter says, all those years with 25 home runs. Bosio, the loser, now 3-3. Joey Cora has got a 17-game hitting streak. As for those M's, still waiting for their #1 starter, Randy Johnson, to return. While they have to be pleased at their success without him, well, can they get to the postseason this way?
They need one more starting pitcher. They know it. This week, ownership gave Woody Woodward the permission to go out, spend the money to go get this year's Andy Bennis. They'd like to get David Wells from Baltimore, and Sid Thrift, who's assistant to Pat Gillick, is out there looking at Tacoma. And their second choice is Kurt Schilling of the Phillies, who's going to cost them a lot. Their third choice is probably John Smiley. I think Woody Woodward is one person who has always shown that he'll give up young players to get quality players. 2 years in a row when the Mariners have been in it, they've been willing to go out and do something.
And this is a hired gun situation. This is let's get out, let's get this guy for the rest of the season, then he can move on. When we come back, as we move on, we'll wrap it up and look at the list of the long ball hitters. Daryl, he rolled a 300. Yanks win by 1. Stay with us. Peter and I back with more baseball tonight after this. Rarely happens, but it did. It is a final. John Smoltz gets the loss. He drops to 17-5 as the Giants take care of the Braves. Bonds, the hitting hero in this one, 2 for 4, 4 RBIs. He hit a home run. He now has 27 on the season. Speaking of home runs. These guys all went deep. The Arc de Triomphe. Archimedes Pozo hit a grand slam to no avail. They lose to the Twins. Jim Thome hits a home run as the Indians take care of things. Casey Candel filling in at second base also went deep. Cecil 24 and 25. Tim Salmon and the Angels, number 24. Edmonds in a pinch hitting role hits number 16. How about Todd Hundley? Switch hitting. 29 home runs this season. Henry Rodriguez also goes deep. Sammy Sosa for the Cubs hit number 35. Baseball tonight, Monday, for 1 hour. Dave Campbell will join me, 10:30 Eastern Time. 4 games, but plenty to talk about. That will do it for this edition of Baseball Tonight. Thanks for watching. For Peter Gammons, I'm Karl Ravech. Up next here on ESPN, the Sunday night game of the week. Larry Beal will be in the studios. He'll keep you up to date on that extra inning affair between the Angels and the Brewers. Bragging rights, state of Pennsylvania. You got to play for something. Phil's Bucks, John Miller, Buck Martinez.
Thanks, Karl. Now, in its 7th season, it's the ESPN Sunday Night Baseball Game of the Week. Tonight, the Phillies, led by Todd Zeile, take on the Pirates and 23 home run man, Jeff King. It's the ESPN Sunday Night Game of the Week. Outside Three Rivers Stadium, where, by the way, it's a beautiful night for baseball.